the Los Angeles Lakers, and the fact that they won a game without LeBron James. It's amazing. They did it again. Like, are the Lakers back? Question mark. Are they back? They've been rolling these last few games. They're now 30-26, and they hold the 9th spot in the Western Conference. And they just beat the Utah Jazz without LeBron James. Like, whenever any team doesn't have LeBron James, they're expected to lose. It doesn't matter how good the team could be, they are usually expected to lose now. And the fact that, especially with these Lakers, and now the fact that the Lakers were able to win not one game, but remember, they beat the Boston Celtics without LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis was in this one, and they played phenomenally in this game. Anthony Davis had 37 and 15 rebounds. Rui Hachimura had 36. Anthony Davis and Rui Hachimura became the first Laker duo since Kobe and Shaq to score 35-plus points in the exact same game. They became the first Laker duo since Kobe and Shaq to score 35-plus points. They've done it. I'm surprised LeBron and Anthony Davis weren't the first players to do that. It's like, how does that happen? How does LeBron and Anthony Davis have been playing with each other for so long? And, like, the fact that Rui Hachimura becomes the first player to do that before LeBron James is like, what? And, I mean, finally, the Lakers are 5-1 since Rui Hachimura has become a permanent starter. So, fantastic for the Los Angeles Lakers. Austin Reeves had 22 points, and D'Angelo Russell had only 11 points, but 16 assists. He's been passing the ball pretty well recently. Spencer Dinwiddie had an efficient 10 points on 4 of 6. The Lakers basically got him for really cheap, so really great acquisition for the Lakers right there. Overall, this is a huge win for the Lakers squad, and another win without LeBron James in the starting lineup. My opinions on this team, I'm not even going to lie, they've changed. Maybe I was wrong about this Lakers team. Maybe they do have what it takes to make a deep playoff run. And maybe they do have what it takes to be able to convince Donovan Mitchell to leave Cleveland. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think, if I was Donovan Mitchell, I wouldn't leave Cleveland just because of the assets that they have right now. But, that being said, the Lakers are still rolling in all of these games, and it is very impressive to say the least. And again, I think I might have been wrong about these Lakers and this Lakers team. Like, they might have the shot to make a really deep playoff run. They do have to play in the play-in, however. So hopefully we'll see if the Lakers are able to get a little bit higher in the seeding, so that way they could afford to lose one series in the play-in. But again, like, if they could get to the 6th seed, that would be very nice for LeBron James to rest. Nobody wants to play a bunch of play-in games. That's just unnecessary, and it's like, LeBron, he suggested the idea, but he also disliked the idea because eventually his team ended up being the team that needed to play those games. So obviously he would dislike him. But so far, with the starters in this game, it looks like Darvin Ham is learning that Rui Hachimura is a great option in the starting lineup, and it looks like that he will not deviate from Rui Hachimura in the starting lineup. So it's a great win for the Lakers so far. And they've shown that they can beat some competent teams, and they need to keep this consistency going. I think the Jazz should. But if I was the Utah Jazz, after this loss, and now that they're not in the play-in, and with this being the final game of the before All-Star break, I think it's time that the Jazz start to tank a bunch of these games. Now, they seem to have gotten worse after the trade deadline, as now they're completely out of the play-in game, and they are negative by 3 games. Lauri Markkanen had only 16. Colin Sexton had 18 points. John Collins ended with a double-double, 11 and 10. Jordan Clarkson had 17 points. But overall, just wasn't a good game from the Utah Jazz, and they definitely could have played better. But the Lakers were very, very consistent in the paint. And this type of consistency is what the Lakers need coming from the rest of the starting lineup. So it gives LeBron some breathing room, or AD if they don't show up. Like, it gives them some room to not necessarily fail, but it gives them some room to make mistakes. And that's sort of what LeBron has lacked every single time on these championship runs. He always lacks a decent bench. He always has that second option, but that bench and that core of players that come in the substitutions, they aren't as strong. And as a result of them not being as strong, most of his teams don't have the offensive firepower needed in order to overcome in a series. But if the Lakers can continue to be this efficient and still have a starting lineup that's competent enough to continue to score, then it's starting to look like they can make a great run in the postseason. And it's very important to keep this up. And they don't play another game until after the All-Star break. So it's a good thing that they go into the All-Star break being positive and in the 9th spot in the West. That's the spot that they hold right now, the 9th spot. And they look to be matched up against the Golden State Warriors after the All-Star break. Another team that's been winning a bunch of games, but recently they lost a game to the Clippers, but I will talk about that later. But the Lakers, they must win that game. I'm assuming LeBron will be healthy for that game, and he will be in the starting lineup. So another LeBron versus Curry showdown, which is obviously very exciting. But overall, these Lakers, they've been great so far. I thought the season was going to be over because they didn't do anything towards the trade deadline, but maybe they were onto something. And who knows? Darvin Ham's job is safe so far, which is very shocking to say the least, because I honestly didn't expect him to be able to make any adjustments, and I didn't expect him to keep his job for this long. I'm also a bit shocked at how Bron and Anthony Davis never scored 35 points together in a game before. Very surprised. And while we're on the subject of LeBron, there was some buzz going about how the Warriors allegedly tried to persuade a trade for LeBron before the trade deadline this season, which would have seen LeBron play with Stephen Curry. This is what the sources told Woj. And so this was very interesting because this trade was actually considered for a very long time, and that would have changed the entire fabric of the league. Those two together would be like unstoppable. And that would have also been, I think it personally would have been really fun to see. Like, LeBron is known throughout the league as one of the best passers and that the world has seen, and pairing him up with one of the league's best shooters is just a recipe for disaster for the rest of the league. Similar to how it was when KD was on the Warriors, you just have no idea like who to double at times. And it's like, because of that, it just allows much more space and a lot more room for the others to operate. And so for the sake of the league, it would be best that they don't team up like that, just because like it's just way too overpowered. And like that might even damage LeBron's legacy, because there's always like the talk around LeBron, like he always needs super teams in order to win a bunch of games. So pairing him up with the best shooter in the league, and with the rest of the roster, maybe they're going to keep Kuminga, and maybe they were going to keep Draymond out of those trade talks with LeBron James. But that would have been a really difficult team to beat if Golden State was able to get LeBron James. And would I have liked to see this trade go through? Honestly, maybe like a little bit, just because like seeing both of them play together would have been super interesting to me. And honestly, LeBron's chances of winning a ring were probably going to be higher on Golden State with that roster that they have. Not to mention, I mean, Steph Curry, I mean, he's the best shooter ever. And as I mentioned previously, both sides are absolutely rolling right now, so maybe it was for the best that they didn't do that trade, just because, like, I mean, they're winning right now, so it's like there's no need to do that trade if you're winning. But with that, the Warriors did lose their recent game, but still maybe sticking with their big three was the best move, given how, like, they've won a majority of their games, so it's not like it's all bad news. But with that, we are out of time for with our second segment, and now we are going to go into the third segment of the basketball podcast, where we give a quick recap of the games. And some of these games were the last games that these teams played before All-Star break. So be sure to tune in to this third segment after this short break.